Patience is a queer 26-year-old poet and teaching artist from Phoenix, Arizona. They have worked for various nonprofits across the valley, teaching students to find their power and healing through writing. Through their freelance work, they help students and teachers create a baseline for normalizing self-care. This is also one of my dearest friends who I met when they were babies, so I'm so proud to introduce them.
How y'all doing tonight? Can y'all hear me? Yeah. These pieces have no titles, and also a trigger warning for graphic language and imagery. Every time I look at you, I see the past, an old face of myself, a lost ship sinking in a whirlpool so it never goes quite under, just spinning in circles until nothing makes sense anymore. I am damned, and amongst all things I am doomed, living in my best nightmares, stringing myself along in discomfort, bending over backwards, exposing myself, asking only that you start off gently when you fuck away my senses so that I don't have to be a part of this world that does nothing but tear me apart, rip my flesh off my bones every time, sacrifice this body, like an offering up to the gods unholy. I am a blasphemous banshee, shrieking curses as I was taught to, flowing endlessly down rivers made of tar, and I am tar, black as black can be, bitter as bitter can come, the spoiled apple off the family tree. I taste death on you. It sickles down my tongue like blood trickles slowly from the body. Death tastes sweet. Like caramel apples at the fairgrounds in October when summer is starting to pick up and leave for the season, and I am infatuated with sugar. Fold around me like hands fold around each other in Sunday church when they are pleading for wishes that won't come true. I am a wasteland, full of old broken things that nobody cares about anymore. I've been every man's trash, my pussy a dumpster, and I am lesser in beauty. I smell fear on you, my friend. Fear to dig your claws deep into me, terrified of what spoiled juices may leak out from this flesh. And it is okay, darling. I understand. I'm terrified of you. A few weeks ago, I went home. I don't come from this desert. Wasn't born of this soil. My roots, they be wet. They be frozen. They be open plains of green, trees that look down upon you, sprout up crookedly towards the sky, lining the path as it wraps round and round. My roots be rugged mountains, until you hit the waters, the tiny rivers, the great lake. My roots be hydrated, moist with precipitation. This year I went home. 13 years and it ain't changed much. Just a bit more grimy, a bit more fucked up. From the shattered windows on the city mall to the deep potholes that be plaguing the streets, I miss that shit. Bonnets on bonnets, niggas on niggas, like the literal FUBU track by Solange, you know, the one where she goes, all my niggas in the whole wide world. Until the first moment I got out the car, realized that I didn't miss much. And the Solange vibe was only a flex from the driver's seat. My niggas from home, my culture of where I first sprouted, crooked. Just like the trees that line the streets, my roots came out broken. Cause these niggas be shooting. They be punching out niggas' teeth. They be birds of prey picking off who they deem unworthy of being, of existing. Man, woman, baby, and child, none of that shit matters. These niggas don't value life. Before I arrived to my first home, I did my best to whittle out as much of my insides that I could. Walking deep into unknown territory, I was preparing to stand before my father so that we could bury my grandmother. Too many pieces to wrap my head on, like how I hadn't seen this nigga in person in 16 years. In moments where I could get my frame still, my body to move. I began gathering chills to shove inside my eyes, then gathered more to rip off the flesh on my chest and shove some in front of my heart, because this is a nigga who doesn't value life, not his nor mine. Since my beginning, my roots beat the shit out of every woman he's ever loved, beat the shit out of my mama, and she tried to honor this nigga for my sake. My roots held me hostage when I was 4 years old. Wouldn't let me go until my mama brought the police. I remember watching him get cuffed that day. My roots stole from me, took everything my mama and I have, every dime, left us with nothing but holes in our soul. Anger blazing like a wildfire, waiting day after day for him to come back, but he never did. A few weeks ago, I went home. Hadn't seen my granny in 14 years, wasn't planning for our first reunion of my adulthood to be this way. Was terrified to look up on her face. Still, gone at rest. Once we got to Milwaukee, my anxiety exploded in my head like popcorn kernels hitting hot oil, bubbling my thoughts, causing thunder to be constantly rumbling inside my hands when the time finally came for my father and I to stand face to face. The monster that I had been picturing, the monster that I'd been remembering, melted away into just a helpless old giant, melted the terror right out of my bones. When I pulled up to my grandmother's house, my roots scooped me up, wrapped around my torso like vines. He seemed happy to hold me in his arms. We sat down on the porch, shoulder to shoulder, and I let him speak. My roots spoke to me real as fuck, because we both grown now. He praised his mother for being the one to keep some ties on his children, for bringing me home. He spoke about how in her last days, she talked about how much she missed me, how her wish came true, just not the way that he thought it would.